Hi everyone, Tobias White here, and in the last video for this week's blog set, um, I described how to use the color blend mode and layers, and how to create value with temperature and for your light and shadows. So in this next one, I'm going to show you how to create brush strokes that are textured using the FX option. So right here, the first thing we need to do is select our brush, and you can use this one right here. That's fine as long as it has a shape dynamic to it. And what you're going to do is make sure that you select the local color, which can be mid-tone range color in your object, and then you're going to, on the layer that you're working on, you're going to hit the FX option and hit drop shadow. Right here in your drop shadow, you want to look at these settings that I have here, but play with it yourself, please. Find something that works for you. But the things I'd like to point out: blend mode, like I mentioned with the layers before, make sure that you have it set to your settings that you like. Make sure it's not just set to black. Set it to something that actually has color. Also, make sure global light is not switched on, and that the light direction is the same direction that you have going on that you set up when you're setting up your light and shadows. And then distance, spread, and size, that is all affected by your situation. So we go in here, and I'm going to mimic what I have here. I'm going to just create little squiggly lines. I'm going to mask this off so I stay in it for right now, because we are using this. Also, you want to make sure this layer is in soft light layer, because when you use soft light with your local color, it almost makes your paint transparent in a sense, but with just a little bit of color in it. So we're going to go in here, and right now I'm using a feature in CS5 that is called the opacity toggle, and that's right up here. And when you switch it off, there's only variation in the width of your stroke. When you turn it on, there's variation in your stroke. Now, if you have a version of Photoshop that is lower, and you want variation in the opacity, because when you have that, when you have things that are a little harder and then a little softer, you're creating a sense of depth in that texture. So you have ridges going in and out, up and down, like valleys. And a good way to do that is just go with a very low opacity eraser, and just slowly erasing like sections apart where you want it to start receding down. And so you come in here, and it's a lot of fun. You know, it's like it takes a lot of the work out for you. And in just doing squiggly lines like this is not the only way you can create texture. You could probably create something like scales or chainmail. A lot of interesting stuff you can do with this method. Now we're going to go on to the next effect using this technique, and that is with Bevel, Emboss, and Stroke. You want to use this together, and this is a great way to create little water droplets on a surface that you might find on a mirror or glass from the rain. And here's all the settings that I use right now, so you can pause that and take a look. And if you're having trouble reading this, just switch to higher resolution, because this is posted on YouTube. So now this, I'm not going to be using the opacity toggle because I want it to be hard, and I've set this layer to multiply, and then I'm just going to go in here make sure I have my local color selected, which is that green. And remember, the local color means midtone. And just come in, stipple it in. And just like, when you're in your school and they teach you about stippling. And it's a great way. It's fun. You just thinking, oh, look, I've just made raindrops. Lots of fun. Make sure, you have irregularity. Be a little sloppy. Be a little random. Never know what you're going to get. You can also use this to make scales. Like a Gila monster. Never know. It's boundless. And like I said before, I encourage you, play with all these settings. Find out what you can do, and you can create some really interesting texture that's super highly detailed with without having to go overboard on the effort to create it, because you're working smarter, not harder. If you were to do this traditionally, you'd have to go in there and create a dual brush, and that's what a lot of professionals would do. They create that dual brush where one side has one thing of paint and the other one, and they go over and they carry it on. Same technique. Digital painting is a lot like actual painting, with just a lot more control and a lot less messy. I love no cleanup after I do artwork. So now we're going to go over, we're going to lock this layer. We're going to go over to the next layer, and inner shadow and inner glow. And in this case, we have it back to soft light with an 86% opacity. The one before, we had 55% opacity for that rainwater effect. But up here, we have 86% soft light. And we're going to have inner shadow. And here's the settings for inner shadow. Remember, global light's turned off. I have a cool neutral color here. And then inner glow. These are the settings I've used here, inner glow. And in this case, I might want to go and create a variation of different opacity for these little divot craters. And you can see I kind of foobarred right there because I forgot to do my local color, and that's why there was a color change. So go back here, we'll do it again. And we're going to make kind of like these divot-like craters. And when you have it at different opacities as you're laying it down, you're going to create a lot of different overlap. And we're going to come in hard with no opacity change. Create even more divots. Remember, it follows the contour, making kind of like a planet. You can come in with the eraser, a very low opacity, mess with it. A lot of fun. And it just kind of grows. You can get this really nice, neat effect. Now, in the next video, I'm going to be showing you how to add on to this effect by using photos to overlay texture on, and then we're going to dress those textures up with a little hand painting over on top. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and hope you were able to learn something from it and take something for your own artwork.